This is the O-Review podcast. O-Review.
Hello, and welcome to O-Review Cooks. This is going to be my new feature here, and probably the direction the channel is going to go in soon. So I'm going to start off with one of the first things I've ever cooked. So I've been cooking since I was 7 years old, and the very first thing I cooked was an omelet, so we're going to do that today. Alright, so the first thing you're going to need are some eggs, ghost peppers. If you don't have ghost peppers, try some volcano dust, cinnamon, cheese food, Pyrex mixer, and a pan. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take some eggs. I'm out of eggs. Alright, so if you don't have a chicken egg, use python eggs. They're a little bit more expensive because you have to buy a python for about $300 times 2, breed it for 5 years, and then you might get an egg. Alright, so since they're not as easily cracked as a chicken egg, we're going to have to also add another ingredient to our list, scissors. So typically you just cut the end off. There you go. And then you just sort of have to squeeze everything out. As you notice, it has a texture of custard. So if you want to make a key lime pie or something like that, you can use these two. There we go. The rest of this you can throw away unless you find a use for it. Alright, next step is to cut the ghost pepper. Make sure you mince it nice and thorough. For this, I'm going to use my Nerk 2. Cut the stem off first, get rid of that, and then just mince thoroughly. Since they're dry, it's usually a pretty easy task. Now make sure not to breathe any of this in. Last person I did that, he has basically just a big hole for a nostril now, so it's kind of ugly. Alright, so you're going to want to roll all this in. As long as you get most of it, should be okay. Alright, remember, alternatively you can use volcano dust. It's a good substitute. Don't put the stem in, whatever you do. Don't put the stem in. Then you want to take the cinnamon, sprinkle a little bit in, just for taste. That should do. And then for the cheese, you want to base it on how much egg you have. So we don't want to use the whole slice because that will pretty much just be cheese with a little bit of egg on it instead of egg with a little bit of cheese on it. So I usually use this line as a general guide. Most cheese food has that. And then you just want to rip off a couple pieces and pour them in there. Alright, now we move to the stove. Alright, now we start the stove. Do make sure that the flame is on and you're not just releasing gas into your house. So we're going to let this warm up for a minute or so, and then we're going to pour our omelet on there and hopefully start cooking. Sometimes it helps to use a probe. When it gets over 200 degrees, they're usually pretty good to go. Alright, so what we're going to do is give this a little bit of stir. Just make sure it gets stirred around a little bit with an appropriate sized one. That should do. There we go. As you see, it does cook very fast, so you want to make sure you do this rather quickly. And since it's sticky, sometimes you don't even need the spatula, which is a nice pro tip. So just make sure it's nice and flat because you want to cook this evenly, which shouldn't be a problem given how thick it is. There we go. And we're done. Make sure you properly set the silverware. And now we get to enjoy. So since it's a little tough, you want to make sure that it's cut into pieces. A little thick, but not too bad. Same consistency as something a little tougher than an omelet. If you're in Europe, you can eat it like this, or if you're in America, put your knife down, switch hands, and then eat. Job well done. Next week, we'll do the same thing, but we'll have something to drink too.